Takeoff.
We are cleared for takeoff.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the place where real dialogue matters.
Make some noise for that sound, man.
It is time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Everett Hall-McNeill, and this is Audio Airstrike. Thank you for joining us. With me, I have my temporary co-host, Jacob Cooperman. And so I want to talk with you about this, right? We know that Kendrick has been placed to headline and be a part of the Super Bowl halftime show for the big game. A lot of people were appreciative of the choice, but there also was backlash. So I wanted to kind of get your honest thoughts about it. When you saw kind of the hip hop community kind of split, or kind of casual fans, or also other fans in general. Let me start back. I'll just start over. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Everett Hall-McNeill, and this is Audio Airstrike. We appreciate you for joining us. I have my co-host here, Jacob Cooperman, and we're going to get right into it. Kendrick Lamar has been placed to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans. Now, with that being said, there is a hometown hero that will not be performing at the Super Bowl as of this moment, and that is Lil Wayne, which has caused a lot of backlash and a lot of support for Lil Wayne from fans to colleagues of his to even
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, so I wanted to kind of just share my thoughts about it. I really don't like the fact that Kendrick now has to, instead of just taking in the flowers, he's had an amazing year. I mean, to be honest with you, this has been one of his best years ever. Honestly, one of his best years ever, but honestly, one of the best years for a rapper, period, that we've seen in recent history. So it's just, for me, it's like when it comes to certain things, it's like, how come we can't just be happy?
Well, that was my first thought. Was
right.
Like, you know, I know I'm the Mayo correspondent over here, but like, I my first thing, we'll get into what Nicki Minaj said, but I get having Kendrick over Lil Wayne. I don't even like the argument, because I saw some people making the argument that Lil Wayne doesn't have Super Bowl records. I don't even like that argument. I feel like there's at least like, I mean, again, I don't know his full discography, but I feel like from what I've heard, there's plenty of songs you could put on a set of the Super Bowl. So I don't like that argument at all. But just think about who's been probably the hottest art. Like we were just talking about it, the hottest artist of 2024 so far. My mind goes to Kendrick. So it's like acting like Jay-Z would just have some sort of vendetta and make that show. It's like, no, it's probably just a bunch of like, and I hate to say that, I hate to be that guy, but like, it's probably a bunch of dudes that don't know shit about hip hop over at the NFL being like, well, this guy's a good hip hop artist. Why don't we put him up here? I mean, we have a large demographic of fans that are African American, so why don't we put, like, that's probably what it was.
And you got to think from a business standpoint, this guy's had the best year ever. Like, it makes sense. Okay, he's hotter than fish grease. Let's put him as the star for the halftime show. It's good business wise.
It's so
it'll
good
bring
business-wise.
it'll bring in eyes to our product that, you know, probably either wasn't fooling with us before or never paid attention to us to a degree. And I know that's crazy for some people to think, well, it's the NFL, everybody pays attention. There are people out there that are sick and tired of the NFL and just don't watch it. I've ran into people that just don't watch it. That's not their thing. This might be something to bring that casual fan in. We can't assume when it comes to these bigger organizations that everybody's into them. I don't care if it's UFC. I don't care if it's the NFL. Name a bigger organization. There is always a percentage of people that don't really pay attention to certain sporting events that are big and huge to some people is pretty much non-existent or irrelevant to others.
Yeah.
So when we sit back over here and look at the business model of all this and look at, okay, what are they trying to do here? They are trying to be current and pull a different fan base in, a different audience in that is not paying attention to the day-to-day operations or the day-to-day things that go into making the NFL what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, listen, the casual, I think even some people, and it's funny because we were talking to a coworker about this, like even some people that would never listen to rap will listen to have listened to this whole beef timeline and now know who Kendrick Lamar is because he is a standout amongst standouts in a medium that is saturated, to say the least. Like, this guy is a superstar. So to bring him in is going to be, like, I get it. You know, there's been in the past, what do they have, like Maroon 5 at one of them. Like, I don't think it's going to net you. I'll take it a step further. I don't think none of these acts that have came before, and not like none of them, because didn't last year, wasn't it Dr. Dre and who?
Well, this past year was Usher, and then a
Usher.
couple years before, I think it was the halftime 2022, it was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg,
Okay.
50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige.
Right, so there's actionable evidence
And Eminem.
of Kendrick Lamar up there, right? To your point, Kendrick Lamar is just going to bring so many new eyes in there. I know plenty of people that, like you said, are tired of the NFL, but will watch the halftime show just because, like, oh, yeah, I want to see that. You know, I want to see what they're going to do for the halftime show. At the very least, it looks good on paper for numbers, but it's also like now we're getting this interesting intersection where it's like, no disrespect to Dr. Dre, but like I don't think the everyday person outside of maybe Beats knows. That could maybe be a flagrant statement, not to the point where they know Kendrick right now.
So
makes any sense.
let me correct you on a couple things. Dr. Dre is single-handedly one of the most influential.
I'm not saying he's not. That's why I want to like stop myself halfway through and correct it. Is like, of course he's major league influential. Like he's, you know, in the culture, outside of the culture, even like the effect that he's had in the world. But I'm saying, like, if you found the everyday person and said, okay, Dr. Dre is performing at the halftime show this year, would you say that they'd be privy to watch in the same way with the year that Kendrick Lamar has had, as if they said Kendrick Lamar is... Because Kendrick, like, that's what I said. There's people that have never listened to hip-hop a day in their lives that will probably tune into the Super Bowl now because Kendrick is performing.
Yeah,
is that a hot take to say?
I think it's a little. I think what you're trying. I get where you're coming from. That Kendrick is more current with this generation of people that are watching. I guess a younger demographic to a degree.
Yeah.
But you also have to understand that Dr. Dre did perform. He had Snoop with him and stuff like that.
No, I'm not saying he didn't perform.
But what I'm saying is that people still tuned in because Dre's performing, because people know Dre's catalog.
Right, but
people know the NWA. There's people that know his solo career, what he did.
Do you think there'd be people that like, and this is kind of my point. This is where I want to take it. Is do you think that there'd be people? And I hate to
from your generation.
No, not from. Well, that's a good point. You know, not many people maybe in my generation, but like Sally from I don't know, Sally from the HR department in Glams, Gals, and Nails is probably going to be watching the Super Bowl now because she heard that Kendrick did, and she's like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this guy was like in a major rap this year. Let me tune in to hear if he's going to talk about, because one thing I know everyone's going to be talking about is whether or not he's going to do some of his Drake diss records at the Super Bowl. So I think and this is why I want to make it very, very clear, Dr. Dre is a well-known and established name, but I'm talking about this year, with the year that Kendrick has had, he has reached people that, while Dr. Dre, I'm sure, has reached some people outside of the culture, it's like people that aren't even tangentially connected.
Oh, Dre has reached a lot of people outside of the culture.
I'm not saying yet. But to the point of Kendrick, though? That what Kendrick did this year in particular.
I'm saying overall. What I'm saying is that Dre's influence and also records transcended hip hop.
Right.
Like, your brother or cousin or sister will end up playing a Dr. Dre record or a Dre and Snoop record at a party.
Right.
Ain't nothing but a G thing is getting played.
Undoubtedly.
Like, you know, still DRE is getting played. Like, I'm just naming a couple songs that I know will go, no matter how old it is, anything like that nature. What I'm saying to you is this, is that it is a smart business move because it makes the NFL hip and current on what's going on, versus we're going to trot out who we like. And also, I want to put this out there. A lot of people are coming to Jay-Z as if he had the final say as to who was going up on that stage.
Dumb. There's no way that there's like a board of people that...
From what I've heard, and you hit the nail on the head there is a board of people, from what I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, from what I've heard, there is a board of people that decide, and then that gets brought over to people within the city.
Right.
And then the city makes the choice.
The city makes a choice.
About who is going to perform at the halftime show of the Super Bowl. So if that's true, and the city of New Orleans is looking at what Kendrick is doing and being like, yeah, I definitely want him to perform.
Dude, that goes back to what I was saying, because it's like, and again, I want to make this very clear, because I know you didn't do it intentionally, but I just want to make sure we don't speed back what I'm trying to say, or speed past what I'm trying to say, is that, like, if you put both these guys back to back with both of their Super Bowl performances, I think Kendrick, just this year alone, with the beef, I'm not saying all time, we can have that separate conversation, because that's also an interesting conversation to have for perhaps another podcast. I'm saying Kendrick with the beef has reached people. I might get some flack for this, but people that might not know that Dr. Dre is also a guy that has been influential in the music. So, for instance, like a random girl in like Wisconsin or something, that'd be like, oh, Dr. Dre, like I know the Beats headphones. She knows more about Kendrick Lamar than she would about Dr. That's the point I'm trying to make, is like, there's going to be people that really aren't even literate in the culture like that will probably be listening to the Super Bowl because this beef has ballooned to the point where it has. And and again, if he's watching, I apologize, pal, but the dude that we work with, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really listen to rap music like that. And every single day now, I see the Kendrick Lamar playlist. Like, that's all I'll say. I'm not trying to, I just want to make sure before we move on from that, I'm not minimizing Dr. Dre's influence outside of the culture. Obviously, there's records that he has that are going to be on every single frat party, or every single party playlist. I understand that. I get what you're saying there. Same with Snoop, same with, but Kendrick this year, I feel like that's why it's such a good move, is because, dude, like, there's going to be an intersection of people that watch football, that don't listen to rap, that now are going to be even more hyped up for the event. There's going to be people that don't watch football and don't listen to rap, but like want to watch just to see what Kendrick does. That's why it's such a good move. And to your point, it seems like the city of New Orleans has chose.
Yeah, and I think and I think that people do have, and I want to say this, I want to give a shout out to Lil Wayne.
Yeah, big time.
I do not want to minimize his legacy. I don't want to minimize what he's done. I don't want to minimize the catalog. I think a lot of times rappers tend to not get the flowers while they're here, so I do want to give him his flowers, because I was around when Lil Wayne was calling himself the greatest rapper alive in 2007, 2008.
His pen is insane.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, at that particular time, I can't think of one person that was messing with Wayne's pen or Wayne's music.
His pen is like,
he was lethal back then.
There's so many Lil Wayne songs.
Like, we're talking about peak Wayne.
That you listen to and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, you hit the stank face when you listen to Lil Wayne. So, absolutely got to give him his flowers.
So, I will say, as, he put out a statement, he put out a video saying, I might have, you ever get so hyped for something, and then when it doesn't happen, you were, like, let down a lot?
Yeah, dude, all the time.
So, I think that's what happened to him. I think that he was so gung-ho about doing this halftime show in his hometown to the point where I think he tricked himself to thinking, yo, I can do this. I got this. I have to have this. I think he cares greatly.
Oh, no, sorry. I don't mean to cut you. Do you think, like, he has the catalog do you think he has Super Bowl type records to be able to pull a set off?
I think he has enough.
Yeah, that's what I think.
He has enough in 20 minutes to pull off a 20-minute, 15-minute performance where because he has great features. He has crossover records. Now, granted, to a degree, he has some deep cuts from his mixtapes that will probably go in New Orleans. It all depends on what crowd is going to be in the actual stands.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, some people that's a part of Lil Wayne's fan base may or may not be able to afford those type of ticket prices. So what crowd are we getting in New Orleans?
Right. Are we
That's
getting all the rich, like...
Yeah, are we
how to
getting
touch
are we
people.
getting the hip hop casual? Or are we getting the thorough hip hop crowd? The answer may be to everybody's dislike. 9 times out of 10, we're not getting that crowd. So maybe it makes more sense in that regard to get a Kendrick that had this beef that crossed over hip hop and became, and due to the buzz of it, it got kind of everybody's attention. Well, most people's attention, even outside of the culture. It makes sense because of the momentum. But in no way, shape, or form, I think Lil Wayne, for an absolute fact, can pull off if healthy and focused, he can pull off a great halftime show when it's warranted. Now, with me saying that, I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw Nicki Minaj go off,
That seemed like actually you go. My fault.
yeah, I mean, it when I saw her go off, I understand it because this is somebody that's pretty much your OG.
Yeah.
This is somebody
her out
that
a
has
ton.
looked out for you, helped you in the game, made you a success, took care of you. It's almost like a big brother, little sister type of relationship that they got. I totally understand that. But I respect Nicki for speaking her mind, even when it's uncomfortable to do that.
Yeah.
I do respect people that do that. In my personal opinion, though, I think she may have went a little too far in them tweets.
Well, yeah. She was talking about the thing where I thought it kind of she lost the plot. Is still something that I think needs to be brought up and doesn't get brought up enough is the whole Jay-Z and Colin Kaepernick thing. Because there is something, in my personal opinion, there's something there that like we need to look into to where it's like Jay-Z didn't really address too much kind of like what happened with Colin Kaepernick and kind of like pushed it down and said, we're going to keep it moving. So like, I don't necessarily disagree with anything that she brought, but it kind of, like I was reading it being like, well, at a certain point, what are we talking about? Because we're not talking about what's really here. It's like we went from Jay-Z having a beef with Birdman, that trickling down to Lil Wayne, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, there was issues and talk about Jay-Z having beef with Drake.
With Drake, right?
Which trickled down to
Lil Wayne, or I guess trickled
which
up.
might have been a domino effect of Lil Wayne not getting. That's what the internet was trying to correlate.
Right, which is
I personally don't think it's
to
true
me,
because
yeah, that's
Lil
a reach.
Wayne has a lot of respect for Jay-Z. They have a rapport.
right.
You know what I mean? So that seems very inaccurate.
Right. And then it goes to somehow we end up, and that was kind of like, I know a lot of people were having trouble like reading what she was saying because she was typing so frantically and everything. I caught what she was saying, but in reading it, I'm like, okay, we start off here. You suspect that there might be beef there. And then it was like each of the tweets was like a gigantic run-on sentence. And then somehow we get to the Jay-Z Colin Kaepernick cover-up thing.
Well, here's the thing, right?
It's like, how do we get there?
Right. Here's the thing. You do realize that there was, I think, and I was reading something where Nicki had a certain percentage of title. So when Jay-Z sold his shares of title, apparently something got mixed up to where it screwed over Nicki, which is why Nicki is kind of gunning for Jay-Z in those tweets. Because
That's
while, yes, your mentor is out of an opportunity at this moment to a degree, it's Lil Wayne. He's going to get plenty of opportunity. He's a legacy actor.
He's got more money than he knows what to do with. Probably he's doing performances.
But here's the thing. I look at and to kind of like piggyback off your point, I look at that video and I said this meant more to him than money. He really wanted to do this.
It's true too. Yeah.
So
there's more Super Bowls. Yeah, I guess not in your hometown, but
it's when I'm gonna be honest with you. When you perform in your hometown, it is a different feeling. It's one thing to go out of your hometown and be an unknown.
When we sell out M&T for this podcast,
I'm claiming it. One of the things that you have to pay attention to is that when you become a great public figure that has influence and people are coming out to see you for who you are, and then you turn around and go back to the hometown that you started from, and people are aware of that.
Oh, the energy's got to be insane.
It's a special feeling.
But also, I mean, to your point, and I like the point that you made, is like those probably not going to be New Orleans natives, I'd imagine.
Not with the way those ticket prices are.
Yeah, or if they are, it's going to be like the people that don't care that you're from there.
You're going to get the 10% of the higher echelon of people that live in that particular state or city.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get that's at that Super Bowl. The nosebleeds, and these prices are, I'm estimating here. These prices are literally, the nosebleeds can be anywhere between not even $1,000, probably $5,000 up.
Nosebleeds?
Probably, I would say probably $4,000 to $5,000 up.
That's crazy. You're going to be performing for Tom Cruise.
Bro, it's crazy. I wouldn't pay that money. There's plenty of other things I could do with $5,000 than waste it on a ticket on a football game.
Watch it from
no
TV.
offense.
Yeah.
I can watch it for free on the screen and get close, and I'll get a closer spot than if I go to the stands and then watch it in the nosebleeds.
Yeah, that's actually kind of, if you think about it like that, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? The people that like will pay. It's weird that you wouldn't see the upper ring be filled out, but I do want to say, I feel like we kind of, to your point, it did. I was going to say the Nicki tweets. It did read kind of like, and I get it. It was a big deal to Lil Wayne that he would, but it felt like it was almost more of a big deal to Nicki. And I was wondering, it felt like it was, at a certain point, it wasn't about Lil Wayne anymore. That's the vibe I got. It's just like, okay, we're using this as a vector to talk about Jay-Z, if that makes any sense.
So you think she centered herself in defending Lil Wayne?
I don't think if you asked her right now, hey, did you use the Lil Wayne and Jay-Z snafu? Well, no, if you say, because you wouldn't say it like that, but you'd say, did you use the Lil Wayne situation to try and take down Jay-Z? She'd say no, but I think she'd
probably cuss you out and insult you too if you came at her with that question.
I would not want to, like, if Nicki were here, I'd be like, no, you're absolutely right, because I wouldn't want to get the talking to. No, you're right. No, he's in on it. But no, I mean, like, I feel like with her, like you said, it was probably more stuff under the surface to where it's like subconsciously she probably was like, all right, I want to get all this stuff out. Because, again, I read it and I'm like, what are we talking about now? We're talking about Colin Kaepernick. Like, if we want to talk about his prowess and his responsibilities as one of the what is he, the what's his position in the NFL? The music director?
Basically, Rock Nation is partnered with the NFL to help with the halftime show and also help with bringing other culture, mainly hip-hop culture, into the NFL that wasn't there full-blown before. Because before, there were halftime shows. Don't get me wrong. We've had Prince. We've had Michael Jackson. But I remember seeing Coldplay. I remember seeing Bruno Mars. A lot of poppy rock, that wasn't really including hip-hop in that regard. However, now we're starting to see it full-blown where it's like we're seeing more and more hip-hop acts on the big stage.
Right,
which is really good.
So if you want to talk about that and you want to talk about his responsibility to guys like Colin Kaepernick and being the voice of, I guess, the hip-hop culture and not fine. But in starting at Lil Wayne getting snubbed to go into that, the bridge, which is originally, I'm like, now it's clicking. It's like, how do we get from here to there? How do we get from here to there? It could just be that she has a personal gripe with Jay-Z and this is another thing. This is the thing that finally made her be like, well, I'm going to, you know what? And then at some point down the line, she just spills everything out. That's the vibe, at least, that I got.
Here's what, there's also another thing that I want to bring to the attention. And it kind of saddens me that this is happening. Nicki tends to find herself always beefing with the next up-and-coming female hip-hop artist.
She beef with Spice yet? Or was that
I know it's Cardi, Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah. I know it's a couple of other people. This ain't the episode to unpack all that. My thing is this. You have that on your track record. For whatever reason. I'm not saying she's wrong in how she's feeling because I don't know what the inner workings are. But there's this outside of her fan base, there's this perception that the second that somebody comes up here, you go beefing with that person. That looks odd to me. That's fan perception of Nicki. I don't personally have nothing personally against Nicki Minaj. I'm just putting out there what the fan perspective is, or the hip hop fan perspective is with some people. There are some people that love Nicki for being Nicki. There's other people that see what Nicki is doing now and going, here we go again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that right there is one of the things that makes her her. Very polarizing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Going to say what she got to
Sassy.
say and mean everything she's saying, and probably not going to take it back unless she sees herself as totally in the wrong, unless there's evidence of that. What she is doing is stepping up for her mentor, somebody that has poured years of experience of this game into her, and she is honoring Lil Wayne to her ability as best as she can. And if anybody comes to attack her, Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. to her staff?
He basically corrected her and was like, what are you doing? Why are you coming to Jay-Z?
What is Stephen A. Smith talking about that shit for?
Well, Stephen A. Smith has his own podcast where he kind of talks about...
Great soda. Well, I guess we're talking... I was going to say soda weed, but we're also talking about it. Fuck. Wait, but I mean, Stephen A., I don't know. You're a sports guy, you know? I guess it's sports, but...
I mean,
let me shut up.
She definitely came at him to a degree, but
I get it.
The way
I
that I look
appreciate
at
Nicki for that too.
But here's the thing about the whole Jay-Z argument. We don't know what conversations were had. We don't know what was said in private rooms. We don't have that as of this moment leaked on the internet for us to see.
Probably won't ever
and
have
verify. It'll probably, knowing how Jay-Z keeps his, and his crew keep their lip tight about stuff, it's probably not going to happen. You really got to be very crafty to leak some stuff that Jay-Z got going on. I'll just say that. I think that sometimes when people of color get put into power and to put into a huge leadership role, especially if they are part of the 10%, and when I mean 10%, those that are in the
rich.
higher class, rich, upper echelon, if the economy tanks, it's really not affecting them. When people get to that space, because on paper and because of what they've been exposed to, you can be seen as a gatekeeper to whatever the next level is, to whatever connections are needed. So it doesn't surprise me that the second that this is announced and people have an issue with it, the internet is now running around with Jay-Z's name in their mouth, not because of what he's done as one of the greatest rappers to ever walk the face of the earth, but it's more about the power and the influence and the fact that he is in an executive position across the board to make certain things happen that not only change the foundation of the hip-hop world, but also how casual fans see the hip-hop world. So when you have that much power, and then don't even get me started about who your wife is. Your wife is the arguably the biggest star in the world.
Right now, yeah, maybe, but like you were talking all time.
I'm talking the biggest star right now in the world. If we start doing an all-time argument, I start naming MJ and Prince.
Yeah, because if Beyonce drops, everyone's going to be all over that. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is that he has his wife is a powerful name plus him. That's going to bring the second that somebody doesn't like the business move or the certain strategic move that is made, here comes a tweet. Here comes a post. Here comes comments. Here comes shares. Here comes more comments. Here comes more backlash. It may be just Jay-Z looked at it as a business decision. Okay, this is what I think. All y'all vote on it. It could have been something as simple as that. And just because he's in those rooms, he's going to catch heat if certain people didn't like it a certain way.
Yeah.
Hence why Nicki is coming at Jay-Z in those tweets.
I think everyone's just afraid that there's going to be like a bunch of, and I hate to say it, but like Kanye's running around, where it's like you have all this power, kind of forget where you come from a little bit, right? Where you get so far up in the clouds that it's like, I think that's just across the board, right? And I'm not going to speak to the POC experience because obviously, again, I'm a white guy, but I'll just say in general, like when anyone gets to a certain level of power, I don't really trust Elon Musk. I don't trust Bill Gates. I don't trust any of those people. I never, like for me, I never estimate that those people have our best interests at heart. So I get why, and again, maybe I'm sure that there's something that you can speak to that I can't in terms of like, you know, the person of color experience and how that dynamic shifts once they get into a bigger position of power. But I'll say it like this. Yeah, man, like to me, it seems like there's demonstrable evidence that you can look at to say, okay, first off, again, Jay-Z, Kendrick, or excuse me, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, whoever it is, they have good relationships. But also, Kendrick is just, he's white hot right now. White hot. And if he performs a Drake diss record, let's just say, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Not Like Us. If he performs Not Like Us at the Super Bowl, do you know how much that would break the internet?
There's a 50-50 chance he might do it.
Well,
I think he might do it.
We could have that conversation.
Of all the records, that's the one he's playing because that's the one that became...
It's kind of like the most safe,
it became, and it became a hit.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, think about... That would go, I think, hyper viral. I think the stadium would shake to the point where it would register an earthquake. I'm not even trying to...
Category 7?
Yeah, well, I'm dick sucking hard right now. I'm glazing, but I realized. But I mean, could you see that?
I could see him perform the song. I could see the viral moments. I could see the comments and shares coming in.
Big time viral.
I think that could happen. We gotta wait and see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
One thing that isn't up for debate. These are two, and I want to give credit to both guys. Kendrick is on his way to being a legacy act in his own right.
Yeah.
He's still got plenty of more stuff to do. Lil Wayne at this point, a living legend at this point in my personal opinion. The level of different things that he has been able to do. And you got kids right now that are walking around, and even people my age that consider Lil Wayne as the greatest rapper ever.
Might be the greatest, like, have the greatest penmanship.
Potentially, you got to put him on. I mean, you have to put him on that
Mount Rushmore for sure.
You have to put him in the debate conversation.
Yeah.
You have to put him in.
If it's a top 5 on Mount Rushmore, you putting him up in terms of penmanship?
If we're talking influence, he's definitely top 5. If we're talking influence, he's definitely top 5.
How about just penmanship, like straight just ability to write bars and to...
I would put him up high on my list. I would put him up high on my list.
Again, you have extra experience
but
with...
it's hard to put because here's
you have more time. You've
well,
had...
also there's different eras too.
Not what I'm saying. You've been around longer than I have, so you know more like MCs from back in the day. There's like Big Pun. There was...
you're putting them up against, if we're talking great dudes with great pens, we're talking Busta Rhymes, we're talking Rakim, we're talking Jay, we're talking Big at that point, you're talking Tupac.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
you're talking about Nas.
Oh,
you're putting him in the mix with Eminem. You're putting him in the mix with. All of these guys have great pens.
It's
so, true. It's one of those things where it's like, where does he fall in now that stiff competition? Now, granted, that speaks to the greatness of Wayne because now we're putting you in those conversations with about 6-7 guys whose pen is lethal.
Yeah.
In a good way. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude.
Whose pen is lethal in a good way. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. You know what I mean? I think that
G-Eazy.
Come on now, don't do that. No offense to G-Eazy.
No offense meant.
No offense to G-Eazy, but let's not.
MGK?
You gonna make me see now. You gonna make me sound like I hate white rappers just because of those two names.
Lil Dicky.
We not doing that.
Lil Dicky's nice.
No, we ain't got no. I don't got no smoke for any of y'all, but we not doing that. We not doing that. No, we not
Jack
doing
Harlow.
that.
Actually, no.
Please do not put Jack Harlow in this conversation. Do not.
Jack Harlow ain't bad, but he's not. His pen game is not lethal by any means.
Not against those names.
No.
I want to kind of touch on, and I'm going to briefly touch on this before we move on to something else. I want to talk about the debate, man. And I'm just going to kind of take a little bit to say this. For those of you who have been listening to the debate, watching the debate, for those of you who are pro Trump or pro Kamala, you have to vote for what's best for you. The way things are set up right now in this country, you have to vote based on what you believe and also who do you think can run this country the best. Here's the ugly truth about this. You are being lied to on both sides.
Yeah. Everyone's pandering.
You are being manipulated on both sides.
Everyone sucks. I'm going to be your ad-lib man.
Gotcha.
Go for it.
And you cannot let the peanut gallery, the tribalistic crowds out here sway your decision on what you really want to vote for.
Free thought. Sorry.
So,
unchain yourselves.
He's got this. This is like the best Kanye impression right now, and I'm playing. When I sat back and looked at the debate, I saw fear-mongering to a degree from Trump, but I also saw deflection and mudslinging from Kamala Harris.
Kamala said, I'm a gun owner. Why do you think I want to take away other people's guns? I'm like, that's not how that works. You could still want to take other what the fuck are we talking about? It's so stupid. The entire thing, it's like, people are saying like Kamala wiped the floor with Trump. It's like neither person looked especially good. And what really concerned me was that people viewed it, and it's just American politics, but people viewed it like, oh, yeah, Kamala won that debate. It's like, since when was, I guess debates by definition, you're supposed to want to win, but it's like, we should all just be like, oh, wow, you know, what a healthy discourse would look like, or what a healthy commentary around this event would look like, was just to say, okay, Trump had these points, Kamala had these points. I really felt like Kamala did a great job of showcasing her points rather than Trump did. And you know what? While I do agree with some of, and this is not me saying this, but for instance, like, what would be a healthy thing is like, okay, I agree with what some of Trump said, what some of Kamala said, but you know what? I think Kamala has a better overall image, or I think Trump has a better overall image for America. Like, to your point, let me go with him, let me go with her. But instead it's like, oh yeah, Trump couldn't even get points out. Kamala like smashed him. You know, like, it was, people were surprised that they shook hands at the beginning of the debate. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Come on, dog.
Some of y'all annoy me because...
Most of y'all annoy me. Can't even talk about politics, bro.
Most of y'all annoy me because you allow yourself to get used over politics. Like, you were literally getting manipulated right before your very eyes. I'm critical of both of these people. One person is saying they have concepts of a plan. The other person was in office as a vice president, saw inflation go up, saw people lose jobs, saw people pay $4 to $5 on one grocery unit, and they got to fill their whole fridge up, and they got to pay 4 times more the price of money than it was before the pandemic. The other guy is not taking no accountability for his hand in a possible insurrection of an entire building.
Or for, I mean, like, I hate to be that guy, but also downplaying Corona's like long-reaching effects.
I'm sitting over here looking at this like, this is the best we got in this country?
This is the best we got?
between these two, this is the best we got. And you telling me I gotta pick him or pick her? You telling me that we can't find the libertarian that's kind of in the middle, that we can't just
Are you
vote
libertarian?
for? At this point, I wish I was.
You know, an election is bad when it turns someone like, dude, that's crazy.
I mean, at this point,
You're just considering other political parties now.
I encourage everybody to consider other political parties because I don't trust. Look, I've been black for a long time. I don't trust either side. There's a reason why I'm saying that.
You've been black all your life. What are you saying? I've been black for a long time.
Look, there's a reason why I'm saying that, and people understand exactly why I'm saying that.
Sure, it's just the way you said it was funny.
One side,
Oh my God.
one side deflects and ignores, and the other side exploits. And depending
You
on
talking about
what
the Democrats
issue,
exploiting?
either side can do it. It
Oh,
all
okay, I
depends
got you, I
on.
got you.
It all
Depends
depends
on
on
what's going on at
It
the
all
time.
depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, the black community only gets a phone call from a certain party when we need
When they
votes.
like
But then
whether
when-
it's Trump bringing out Chef G or Biden saying if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Like,
or Kamala, to a degree. I'm gonna be honest with you. During her time as vice president, I'm a little critical over why are you so vocal now? And granted, I get it, you're running for president.
she needs the
but-
black vote.
She does, but we're
What do
not
you
just
think
going to
she does?
hand it. We're just not going to, like, I think African American people are not comfortable just handing that over unless you present an actual plan that says, this is what I'm going to do for you to get your vote.
Oh, well,
And
that's-
it needs
I
to
think
be
that's how it should
something,
be.
and it needs to be something concrete. Not, I'm going to give money out to help out the middle class. Well, where is that money coming from?
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to get taxed for that money.
Yeah.
Either it's the rich or it's the middle class. And you're already taking your toll on the middle class at that point. People talking about these plans, and I'm sitting here going, somebody has to pay for the funding of those plans. It's either the rich is getting hit or the middle class is getting hit.
Most likely the rich, 'cause, yeah.
If you poor, it's not going to fit. You already at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's really going to hit the middle class because the middle class is the gear that kind of keeps the whole thing running.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, it's going to affect the rich because it's like, dang, y'all taxing the crap out of me because I make a certain high amount of money. Well, yeah, they're going to try to get it somehow. So this is like the ugly merry-go-round that tends to happen, man. So look, I'm not telling you who to vote for. As you can see, I done bashed both of them. I've been very critical of both of them. I feel like that we need to have people in office that they say very, very specifically what they're going to do in terms of the economy, what they're going to do in terms of
Social issues.
and what they're going to do in terms of improving the quality of life that Americans need. Because the fact that you are paying rent and somebody else is paying that same amount as a mortgage is nuts.
Yeah.
Heads out here paying $500 in groceries, and that groceries may only last like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's those same prices were probably $250 for more groceries.
Well, I
back
know around
before
here,
the pandemic.
I don't know if groceries are more cheap around here, but I'll pay well, I'm also a hungry hippo, but I'll pay like $200 for groceries. That lasts me maybe a week, 2 weeks.
So imagine if you paid $200
Yeah.
before the pandemic started, and how much groceries you would have got then. Probably
Yeah.
more.
Probably more. Yeah.
So this is what I'll say, and then we'll move on, man. Like, you guys have to vote for who you think is the best fit for this country. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That's not my job. My job is to make you aware that, you need to be hip to the fact that you are being potentially manipulated and coerced into voting for something that maybe you don't agree with. It's up to you to do the due diligence, figure out the actual standpoint of what they support, Get away from the phone, get away from the TV, like get somewhere and actually research. Go on a laptop, research, find a viable source, a viable website, a viable place that shows the evidence of what these candidates are actually supporting, and then make your decision from there. Because you can't pay attention to all this noise from people and the internet and debates. It gets to a point where it's like, all right, enough. Give me the concrete evidence that shows me why I should vote this person. And that's all I got to say.
Mic drop.
Yeah, that's really all I got to say, man. We kind of, as a podcast, I kind of stepped away from being super political, because years ago we used to be super political, and then mixed the hip hop with it. But now,
Was that DMV era?
that was when we were in DC heavy around that time.
That makes sense, dude.
Yeah,
You're
that's
right
what-
in the area.
Yeah, we were literally.
We were recording in the White
Yeah.
House. I'm like, what?
That would be crazy if we were able to do that. I wanted to throw this out here. You heard about the whole Shannon Sharp issue?
When he was beating it down on IG Live. He was. You hear the tape?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I heard this.
Is it weird that I was trying to figure out whether he was putting it down or not? I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was like, I can't tell. I don't know. Someone said he started growling at some point. I didn't hear that audio.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, I find it pretty peculiar that happened to him. Literally, like 24, like literally, like not too long after he had. I think he had like a kind of like a.
Yeah, a Bluetooth sponsorship or something.
He had that, and then he had the viral interview earlier that year with Kat. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and then for years he was facing like rumors where he was like maybe batting for the other team or something like that. I just don't understand.
Well, it sounded like a woman on the video.
Yeah, it's a woman on the video, but before that, people were cracking jokes saying, well, we don't know if he's straight or not.
Yeah.
You know how people are. Just
Maybe
say
he wanted to
anything
set
get
the
a rise
record
up.
straight.
He said a lot of things straight, all right? Apparently.
Yes, he did. That sounded crazy. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, that did sound crazy.
It sounded like it was me on the video. Yeah, he did.
But
Tell you what, girl. No, I'm
The
just kidding.
one thing I'll say is I just don't buy that this was an accident.
Yeah, how you go on Instagram Live? Like you gotta hit 4 buttons to go on Instagram Live,
I don't.
and then it asks you if you're sure. Like it asks you if you want to name it. You know, like what was the name of the Instagram Live?
I don't know.
I can't. Yeah, I don't know. That was odd.
What name would you give it?
If my sex tape was on Instagram Live, that's a good question. Like for a TBH.
Oh my god! Can't take this dude nowhere, man. This dude can't take this dude nowhere, man.
Wait, actually, like I should probably call it like and TBH because I want people to rate my performance in the comments. Sorry, not like for a TBH. No, that's probably what I'd call it. I mean, that's the only reason you'd go on Instagram Live to have sex is because you're like you want to show off that you're having sex. Which to me, yeah, again, like I don't. We didn't see anything. Was the phone moving? I honestly, that seemed like a fever dream. I can't even really remember anything.
The phone, from what I've read and seen, the phone was down the whole time.
I swear I wish I had my phone. Yes, I know it was pointed down. I think it could. Listen, it could be a combination of factors, right? Like it could be that people were cracking on him for being gay, and he wanted to show that, like, oh, through accident. One thing I do know, there's no way that he went live accidentally. You have to hit too many buttons for that to be the case. There's no shot that he went live accidentally. Now,
Yeah, I don't buy that either. I
Yeah.
don't buy that either.
It could be product placement because he had like the Blue Chew shit, and he was. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was getting after it on camera. It's like, yeah, but you don't have to lie. Like everyone, not to lie, not gonna lie. Like we all didn't see that take place, bro. Like it was like some weird, like, oh, did he or didn't he? We all heard it and we all saw it. Not gonna lie. Yeah, dude, come on. I think honestly, the most likely thing was that it was like viral marketing. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this, right? It happened. I mean, he did a good job of actually
Putting
being
it down.
responsible. No. Yo, pause. He did a good job putting it down. Pause. That's crazy.
What'd you think? You saw the video.
Unfortunately, look, when I'm scrolling through Twitter, I wasn't searching for it. It literally, the video pops up and
That's
it's right in
always
front
how
of
it
my
does,
face.
dude.
Like, I wasn't searching for this video.
That's how I
wasn't
saw
like,
the Drake pic.
oh God, don't even get me started on that. That reminds me of the Kendrick diss all over again. But the one thing I'll say is this: is I do appreciate him being like at least transparent and honest and being like, and also like having like Chad there to kind of be like, you know, yeah, he was cracking jokes, but to have Chad Ochocinco kind of being there and kind of being like, yeah, like kind of being there supportive of him, because with other people, like when something leaks like that, it could cost you your job. It could cost you your career, because it's like in certain environments, you know, we can't be having you a part of the company and then there's a video of you showing more than you need to show and you in a vicarious position, which makes us look like we some freaks in the office. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I was almost like, yeah, I mean, because does he still work for, he on Undisputed?
No, he left that show.
He left that, right. Then I was after the whole thing happened with Skip.
Yeah, so he's currently has his own show.
Right.
He has his 2 shows. He has Club Shay Shay, then he has Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco.
So those are both things that he owns.
And then he has he is a reoccurring guest or he's a reoccurring commentator on First Take with Stephen A. and a host of other people.
First Take thing might be in jeopardy, but if I'm not
no,
correct.
I mean, ESPN, I've read ESPN already said they weren't letting him go over that.
Like what Paul Pierce did was crazy. Paul Pierce
was pissed when he heard that. When he heard that nothing was happening with Stephen A.
Yeah, that's not the same thing, though. That's not that. I saw that video again recently. He had a stripper giving him a massage while another one was throwing ass in the background. Mm-hmm. And he knew he was showing that. That is not even close to the same thing. What do we talk? And then a stripper hit the chat on the live and he was like, come make some money. If you don't get the fuck out of here, bro. Get the fuck. Paul Pierce. How is that not the same thing? It's not at all remotely. But like, I think he owns, isn't that his IP is Club Shay Shay? And then Nightcap? Like him and Ocho, I assume, own that. So you can't, unless he wants to fire himself. Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think, if anything, he's good. You know, whatever. Depending on how he did in the video, it's fine. People, like girls like that. I guess girls will probably be hitting him up like, let's collab on live next time, That's what happened with Drake. When the Drake shit leaked, every girl was like, hey, so.
Please, for the love of God, Jake, don't get no ideas. For the love of God. Please.
For what? I'm not. Dude, I'm going to be an MMA commentator. You think they're going to be like, famous MMA commentator leaks sex tape? Like, everyone's going to be like, cool. Anyways, on to the next thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the things, man. It's been a wild couple days. And one thing is for certain, you never know what you're going to expect in pop culture, man. We cover this stuff to try to, have fun with it, also be enlightened, and also let you know what to watch out for. And
what a wild roller coaster of a pod.
Yeah. Also, like, just a word of advice. And Shannon, we have respect for you. We appreciate the efforts that you've done. Very influential in terms of just watching him grow. But, man, next time, definitely take your own advice. Leave that phone in the car. Don't. You going to do that mission? Yeah, leave that phone out in the car, bro.
I love how he's like a 6-year-old. Like, you can't leave the phone around him, or else he's accidentally gonna live stream himself having sex. I'm still caught up on that. You can't. I'm convinced you can't accidentally go live on Instagram.
I'm gonna be honest with you. People of a certain age struggle with technology. Like,
I'm surprised he even figured out how to go live.
No, like I had a friend of mine give me like free tickets to like a Ravens game, but it took her time to like send the tickets over because it was like She was used to, I get like physical tickets in the mail from way back in the day, and then I hand them off to you or do whatever. This was you got to transfer it through an app, and each app is different in terms of the interface of the transfer. So she had to figure that out.
Yeah, it's
before
like
sending me the
hieroglyphics
game
for old
tickets.
people.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens. But this is on a whole nother level. But I mean, luckily he's learned from that situation. We ain't gonna like kick his back in. There's no need to.
You think the text on his phone screen is like 3 times as big? You think the app icons are like gigantic on his screen? He's got like 3 apps on his iPhone home screen. He scrolls like 16 pages.
Oh my God. Hey, yo, that's wild.
You think he asks like, how do I get in on the Skype? Sorry, that's how they record it, dude. Oh my God, they record the podcast over like, what is it, QuickTime? Photo booth.
You just pushing this man into a senior citizen's home is nuts.
I know.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, folks, this has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Hey, man, Jake, thank you for always coming in.
Of course, thanks for having me, man.
And we're going to hit y'all with another episode next week. Y'all make sure y'all tune in.
See y'all.